Good morning and welcome everybody to my podcast. My name is Jakub Vaniš and this is JV Talks episode 8, and today we're going to be talking about Mad Max Saga Furiosa, the new movie from George Miller that is currently in cinema. So buckle up and let's get right into things. So yesterday I just seen the new Furiosa, the Mad Max Saga movie, and I've been blown away. I didn't have too high expectations, I would say, but this movie was just absolutely bonkers. As you can see, quite thematically, probably on your LinkedIn, but if you're not, seeing a video, if you're just listening to this, you cannot see it, but there are some tires here. I'm just coming back from a car service, so that's a bit thematically, connected to the Mad Max world, but oh man, I just loved this movie so much. I didn't expect it to love it that much at all, because the latest movie that came out almost 10 years ago in 2015 from George Miller was Mad Max Fury Road, which was kind of a reboot of the series where we had recast, for Mad Max. He was played by Tom Hardy. And we had Charlize Theron doing the role of Furiosa. And now we're getting a prequel to this. And so about the Mad Max Fury Road, I honestly, so I enjoyed that movie that much as possible as a movie fan, a movie geek can, because it was so well done, practical effects, so many great stunts. It's just almost impossible that these kind of movies with big budget are still made without incredibly huge, use of off-putting CGI or anything like that. So for that, I applauded it. But I wasn't the one that really loved the story, because there was not that much story. It was just one big action set piece, basically kind of a chase for like 2 hours through the desert. And for that, it was wonderful. But I didn't connect with the characters and with the story that much. But I did now. With Furiosa, I did, it just consumed me. It's one of these movies that is so immersive. What this movie does for Mad Max world is so underrated, because basically there's so much world building. I feel like I understand what's going on in this world and how does it function, and the backstories of all of these characters. And it was a heavy, tough story about basically revenge and love and hate and all of these things in this gritty world of wasteland. So it did alleviate actually, my likeness for the Fury Road, and I just had to rewatch it the same day, because basically where this movie ends, the next movie starts. So basically, without spoiling anything, I would recommend anybody to go out there and see it, because it's not doing so well, unfortunately. It had a budget of $168 million, and it made only $25 million over the prolonged weekend, over 4 days of a Memorial Day weekend in US, in domestic. So this is one of the worst in 3 decades, one of the worst results in the box office, unfortunately. And that's so bad, because George Miller, what a visionary that guy is, right? Everybody was so shocked that he made such a bold movie as Fury Road 10 years ago, when he was 70, and it was just incredible to see something like that from almost a retired director. And now he's 80, and he even almost topped himself, in the action and the set pieces and the stories and the grittiness and the weirdness. He's just he feels so young in this one. And apparently he has another story in mind that is called Wasteland, I guess. And that would follow again a story of Tom Hardy's Mad Max with Charlize Theron. So let's say older versions of these characters. And if this movie doesn't do well in cinemas, which it looks like it doesn't, unfortunately, we're probably not gonna get that trilogy, closed, which is such a pity, because now I'm a big fan. I really want to, go out there. I already and see another movie from this universe, because I'm just so immersed, and I didn't expect it, and that's so great about it. Probably the last time that I wasn't really hyped for a movie and didn't expect that much was Dark Knight from Christopher Nolan, and that's been quite some time ago. and this doesn't happen that much anymore. So for example, I loved June 2 right now, but I was hyped for it. I had very high expectations and it met them, and that's great. So June 2 is still my number one movie of the year, but number two, really closely behind this, is Furiosa, the Mad Max Saga, with, let's say, I would give it 9 out of 10, almost 10 out of 10, because it's such a great movie. So please, if you want to, see these kind of bold visions for these kind of projects and support it, and you want to see a third Mad Max, or basically sixth Mad Max, because there were 3 previous movies made in like 80s and 90s, then please go out there and support this, and just, we need to make sure that this doesn't fail like all the other movies that are failing this year. Ryan Gosling's, Fall Guy was released, a month ago, and basically just 2 weeks after, it was already on streaming because it was doing terrible numbers. And it's such a pity. And I don't want this to happen for Furiosa. And if it does, I think we were so lucky that we got this movie because it's so bold. Just go out there and watch it. Like I said, 9 out of 10. Now let's get bit of into the spoiler territory and into the cast and into the effects, etc. So this is a long movie. It's 2.5 hours, 148 minutes altogether, which is an incredible length. But for one, I've seen some reviews for this where people said that you can feel the length. I didn't feel it because I was so immersed. I really wanted to follow them, even longer. It would probably be better even as a kind of a mini series, of like 4, 5, 6 episodes or something like that. But this was so great because basically we got a prequel to Fury Road where we're following what's happening to Furiosa since she's like maybe 8 or 9 or something like that until the Fury Road. And what a story it is. It's gritty, it's menacing, it's just... I couldn't, I almost couldn't blink in the cinema because of all the sound effects and the music and the cast and the action. I even checked my Apple Watch at the end, and basically my heart rate was elevated the whole entire 2.5 hours for like 20 beats per minute because it was just so immersive. Like you were rooting for these characters, even though that Furiosa obviously survives this because you've seen her in the next movie, in the Fury Road, right? So for that I applaud this movie. The other thing, basically, it's kind of episodically already, let's say, cut. It has 5 different chapters, and each one of them takes about, let's say, half an hour or something like that, and they are kind of separate stories that go into each other. Actually, Furiosa is played in this by 2 actresses. So first one is called Ayla something. I need to check that out. And she's the young actress, which is incredible. She did such a great work in this one. I think she's in like maybe 40% of the movie, and then everybody keeps applauding Anya Taylor-Joy, which is getting more and more fandom. But what is interesting in this movie is that basically she has like maybe 50 words of dialogue in this one, because all acting that she does is basically with her eyes. And I think it's enough, like basically, and it's explained in the movie why she doesn't talk that much or almost at all. But when she talks, these are really badass moments. So hung out for those. So Anya Taylor-Joy and the young actress before her did such a wonderful, job in this thing. So I need to just check later on, what's the name of this young lady. Then there is a villain here that is played by Chris Hemsworth. So we know Chris, mainly from Marvel movies as a Thor, and he's usually, let's say, the good guy, right? The main lead of the movie, and here he's the main villain, and it suits him so well. I believe this was probably his best performance ever in any movie, and he's enjoying himself so much. Apparently, this shooting is so exhilarating and exhausting that most of the actors just lose their mind. So famously in Fury Road, the two main protagonists, so Charlize Theron for Furiosa and for Mad Max it was Tom Hardy, they hated each other. They really hated each other because they had different opinions and different approaches. So Hardy was more laid back, he was coming sometimes late to shoots, etc. Whereas Charlize was much more disciplined and she was kind of already in the role, in her mindset, etc. So they were fighting so much that they apparently said that they would not ever work with each other anymore. Well, if we're gonna get that follow-up, that sequel called Wasteland, they would probably have to find a way with some bucks, to make it work for them. But what I wanted to say with this is that most of the actors and actresses, when they are asked about their the shooting of these type of movies with George Miller, they either don't say anything and they just stare into the darkness or into the distance, or they say they hated it and it was just exhausting. Because, for example, in this one there is one action piece which is 20 minutes chase, and it took them 78 days to shoot that scene, just one scene, and that's absolutely exhausting. So everybody was when asked about this, they say it's horrible, but Chris Hemsworth playing the role of Dementus, which is such a funny name, and he's such a great villain. He was enjoying himself. He's probably the only main, let's say, Australian actor, and this is all shot in Australia. George Miller is Australian himself, so he was, when he is asked about it, he's like, yeah, we had so much fun. It was a great ride, and I enjoyed every second of it. And you can see it on the screen because he is enjoying himself so much. It's like he let loose, of all these kind of superstitions that are linked to his Marvel character and this main lead kind of persona. And he's a fascinating villain. He's stealing the show every time that he's on camera. So, if you like Chris Hemsworth, you can go out and see this movie just for himself. So, whereas Furiosa has 50 words, he talks a lot, and he has this thick Australian accent, and he's the leader of this clan of bikers, and they are super menacing, and they are super chaotic, and it's so much fun to watch what they are gonna do, because you don't really know. It's like, if I would compare it to the Joker character from the Batman universe, it almost feels like this guy doesn't have too much of a plan, and he's just into it for the chaos of it. But yeah, it's just so much fun, and I didn't know and didn't expect where this movie was gonna go. So these two, Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy, which are kind of the main protagonists and the main villain, they are having so much fun on screen, and yeah, just for them to, it's worth seeing it. Then I would also really praise this Ayla Brown, I think was her name. So that's the young actress that was portraying Furiosa, and she has done such a great job, by the way. Though, something that I just found out recently, and I had no idea, they kind of deep-faked her, mixing kind of, let's say, the eyes and mouth of Anya Taylor-Joy onto this young actress. So I was like, oh my god, what a great casting, because they found a girl that looks almost just like, Anya Taylor-Joy 10 years ago or something like that. So it even goes to a point where in the middle of the movie they switch, and you don't realize it. I only switched it after a couple of minutes. I'm like, oh my god, I'm watching a different actress. It's so seamless, so well done, and you don't even recognize that they kind of CGI'd her face, with deepfake technology. It's invisible, totally invisible. And yeah, I applaud George Miller for that decision. To be honest, that's really well done. And then there are there's Immortan Joe. I think he's now portrayed by somebody else, but he's such a calculative, menacing villain. Also very good to see the differences between these characters, between the villain in Dementus, which is played by Chris Hemsworth, and Immortan Joe that we know from Fury Road. Together, busting heads with each other such a great time for cinema goers. And then I wanted to highlight two other people, and that was the lady that played Furiosa's mother in the beginning. Wow, what a badass lady! It was so intense just to follow her. She's incredible, and I want to see her in more things. Her name is Charlie Fraser, and yeah, like, watch out for her. I've seen Hideo Kojima really praising her on Twitter, and a lot of people, because she's been amazing. Like, such a badass female lead. She deserves her own movie. Maybe we need a prequel to this movie, prequel of a prequel to understand where Furiosa's mother is coming from, because she was great. She was amazing. And then another highlight was so-called Praetorian Jack. This mighty driver that is driving these war rigs, and he had never had an issue. And he's kind of a love interest of Furiosa in this one, and it also explains where Furiosa's makeup come from, because she has this kind of black black makeup over half of her face, and that comes from Praetorian Jack. He's played by Tom Burke, and that guy nails it. And I just found out that he was the second choice. There was another guy cast for this, and in the end, last minute, he gave up. So they called this guy, and I'm so glad, because he totally looks like Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. And he's just such a badass. Almost similar type of profile to Mad Max. He doesn't talk much, but he's captivating. Oh my god, I just love this movie so much. I already ordered a steelbook whenever it comes out, on Blu-ray in 4K, UHD, HDR version, because I want to see it again. And I've seen it in IMAX. I think you should go out there and watch it on the biggest screen possible, because this was such a great cinema. And I have a feeling that because of, I don't know, inflation, COVID, or whatever it is, the cinema culture is really dying. Those numbers that we were used to from the, let's say, Marvel days are over, unfortunately. And maybe they're never coming back. I don't know. We're getting, like 3 more Avatar movies and a lot of blockbusters still. But it looks like, like this year we had so many movies that were great flopping. For example, now there is a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the 4th Planet of the Apes movie in the cinemas. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm one of the culprits of this. And nobody's watching it. It doesn't make any money. It's such a pity, because they have scripts for next 2 movies. They wanted to make it into a second trilogy. And apparently it's great. Also, in the reviews, they were glowing. And nobody's going out there to see it, and nobody's going out there to see this Furiosa, and everybody is blaming basically that there is no Mad Max in it, because it's about Furiosa, which is like a second-hand character. But I tell you, as a person that was really impressed and fascinated by Fury Road for what it is, like, this movie elevated Fury Road and Mad Max and George Miller's work for me so much, that I just want to immerse myself in it right now. There's even like a Mad Max video game from 2015 that I will probably download. I want to read about it. It's just so cool. This post-apocalyptic wasteland of Australia, being in between these 3 kind of factions, or there's even more factions, but 3 main factions that are controlling the world. There's a Gas Town, the Citadel, and the Shell Town, I think, or something like that. These 3 are just, and the economics of it works so well, and that's what's great in this movie, because it has time, these 2.5 hours, to explain how this world works. And it's just captivating. I found myself, not really looking at my watch or my phone at all. I was just riveted to the screen, like 100% of the time. And it was so great. Please go out there and watch it. Let's support George Miller in his 80s. I just don't understand, how he was capable of bringing something like this to life. And it must have been such an undertaking. It's so rare to see these type of movies, and so many directors would, kill for, let's say, this talent of kind of world building and this drive and action that this guy has with his 80s. And I just found out that he also did Happy Feet and Babe, which are great movies, but totally different than his Mad Max movies. But this is so great. So trust me when I tell you, yeah, you deserve to watch it. Though it's probably not for everyone in the sense of, it's very dark and violent and gritty and super weird sometimes. So some people would not understand it, because there's like a lot of violence and it's very explicit. But the way it was done practically, with these stunts, is just mind-blowing this day and age, and I enjoyed it so much and I cannot wait to see it again. So this has been Jakub Vaniš. Thanks a lot for tuning in for my podcast, for JV Talks. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll keep coming up with more stuff like this, and if there are any comments or questions, please leave a comment or write me something directly. I really want to hear your opinion about this. And yeah, that's about it. So go out there and watch Furiosa. Applauding everybody involved in this project, especially George Miller and especially the cast: Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Hemsworth, Tom Burke, Charlie Fraser, and they were all amazing. Thank you so much for bringing this to our world. Like, this is now probably within my top 10 movies of all time, and I really didn't expect it coming into this. So thanks a lot for watching. I wish you a great day, everybody, and take care. Cheers. Bye bye.